Welcome to the Ultimate Access video series of 10-minute videos looking at the Manseco leather goods and particularly handbags business. My name is Sandy Hood and we're going to be looking at a whole series of different issues in relation to Manseco. But on this particular one we're looking at variance analysis. Now this is a very significant area of the syllabus. It comes from the P1 section A, which as a total section is worth 30% of the P1 marks in the OT exam. And here you can see that there are three specific learning outcomes within that section. Apply standard costing methods, interpret material, labour, variable overhead, fixed overhead and sales variances, and explain advantages and disadvantages of standard costing. And a very large section within the indicative content, and you can see in here I've highlighted the subdivision of total usage or total efficiency variances into mix and yield. This is regularly assessed, and I've highlighted sales mix, sales quantity variances, and if you notice underneath there's a bullet point for planning and operational variances. The reasoning is that within the CIMA certificate ordinary variances are included, but mix and yield appears in the syllabus for the first time in P1, and sales mix and sales quantity appears for the first time in P1. Similarly, planning and operational variances. And it's on this basis that the examiner is regularly testing these areas rather than trying to test labour efficiency or variable overhead expenditure. It's these types of variances that the examiner is particularly keen on in the operational case study. This is a note. It is likely that mix and yield and planning and operational variances will continue to be examined at operational case study level, and future candidates should prepare for this examination by ensuring that they understand and are able to explain these variances in context. A very clear clue from the examiner. And here's further evidence. In the February exam, in all five variants of the exam, there was a variances question. Every single exam had a variances question. In November, 4 out of the 5 variants had a variance question. So this is a very good area to master because you've got a very strong chance of being examined on this particular one. I recommend preparing for sales quantity and mix, material yield and mix, labour yield and mix, and planning and operational. These are the variances the examiner is most likely to test. There's plenty of clues in the pre-scene. For example, we've been given the direct material cost of each of the 12 products. We've not been given a material mix, and similarly we haven't been given the labour details. It's all called variable cost or built in within the direct costs. A lot more information is given as far as sales is concerned. On page 16 we've got this quote: discounted sales will remain a sizable component of the market, giving a very clear indication that there could well be a sales price variance question in which the discounted sales will be part of it. Price positioning is crucial. Digital channels provide consumers with price transparency, on page 15. So here again, showing that as far as Manseco are concerned, price is a crucial element within the marketing mix, and as such we're going to see variances that are going to be to do with sales price. Millennials and Generation X consumers seek value for money and a higher quality of life, and a lot more transparency really because of the use of comparison websites and so on in order to establish how much we're charging and how much our competitors are charging. So are you ready for a practice question? Here we go. This time we're going to look at managing the time within a whole section. As you know, there are 4 sections to your exam. You will generally find that they're 45 minutes each because of the nature of what we're looking at. This is going to be much shorter. But here we've got Anders Bukati. Hello, Finance Officer. Yes, hello. I've been given the attached sales variance analysis sheet. What does it tell us about our customers' preferences and market conditions in April? Do you think it might be beneficial in future to split the variances into their planning and operational elements? A fairly common type of question that we can expect to deal with. So here we have it. Chanel launched an affordable clutches range, the Chamel bags. This was widely promoted. Melanie, we know, our sales and marketing director, instituted a widespread price cut on clutches and crossbody bags. Influential bloggers and reviewers have praised Manseco clutches and crossbody bags. So a bit of additional information that can help us. So we've got this picture down here, presumably of a Chamel bag, and this is our Manseco alternative. But in case you're in any doubt, Chanel is very much a prestigious luxury brand, whereas we are an affordable luxury brand. So for us to be dealing with a luxury brand that has moved into the affordable market, it would be a worry. So we can imagine what was going on when Melanie was thinking of the widespread price cut in order to sort of try and maintain our market share. Here we're presented with a fairly typical sales variance analysis. This is the layout that they've used in past exams, and I've obviously adjusted it for our particular scenario. But it's useful because it sort of has more information than a basic operating statement. We can see within it certain facts. For example, up on the top, we can see that the sales price variance, we have identified the average selling price that was maybe what we would call the standard price, and then the actual price. Again, I would imagine this is also an average. And we can see that we've got some massive variances. And then we've got the total variance, and we can see that $272,500 of adverse variance there within the sales price variance. Sales mix, here we've got this comparison. Actual sales, quite high, aren't they? And then we've got the sales that we would expect within the normal mix. The normal mix would be based on this figure down here on the bottom left hand corner, selling a total of 2,000. Well, we sold 2,050, so that's been modified, and we can see within the mix these are units. We've sold more units of the medium size clutch bags and fewer units of the small size clutch bags, given the mix that we would expect for 2050. And this has given us a net variance which is favourable. The big favourable amount has come from the medium bags, interestingly, because they're the ones which we've given the greatest cut in our price, so indicating some kind of price sensitivity, so that we've dropped the price and we've increased the sales. And the small, well, if it's a mix, then one goes up and the other goes down. Here the sales quantity, we are 50,000 above, no we're not, we're 50 units above the budget, and here we can see that obviously our quantity is higher, and that this has been predominantly with the small, but also pretty strong in terms of the medium as well. And adding that up, that's given us a nearly 32,000 favourable variance. So overall, a big negative variance, mainly because of the price cut, but the sales mix is favourable and the sales quantity is favourable. Okay, so we would translate these tasks into a particular exam question, and 36 minutes means about 20%. So we would be expecting 10% of our exam marks for what the sales variances tell us, 10% for a judgment of splitting them. You must answer the question. You need to understand the pre-scene, and so that understanding would mean that we would go through these 4 things. Identify the question, plan the answer, check that your plan addresses what the task requirements are, quickly write up a series of short paragraphs. Identifying the question. Here we have it. What are the variances on the sales variance analysis sheet? Tell us, and do you think it might be beneficial to have planning and operational elements? Planning the answer. We have 8 minutes to do this if we're given a 36-minute allocation, and then we would have 14 minutes to write up in each of those sections. Here we're given the layout. In we go with our initial headings, sales variances and so on. Then we're looking at a little bit more detail, still, and here we're recognising that within these 2 tasks we really need to get 6 marks out of each task, and in order to do that I'm recommending that you have 6 4 to 5 line paragraphs. Here are my headings, clearly done within the planning time. More headings, this time for the second task. You've got to make sure 2 tasks, allocate the time equally between the 2. After the plan, make sure that your plan really answers the tasks. I've got those various headings, and then you check it. Fine, and now you can move on. Work very, very fast. We've got about 14 minutes for each task. Bang, 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 bang. Sales variances, what they are. Sales price discounting at the clutch bags, good. Further analysis would be needed into what the breakdown of customers was, fine, so that we're able to understand whether it's retail sales, in which case we are selling at a lower price in order for our retailers to be able to generate a margin. If they are dominating the sales, then we're going to have a lower average price. If our own sales to end customers are dominating, then we would expect to see a higher average price. Bigger discount on the medium bags. The sales mix. We see it's a favourable variance, then we're able to go through it, giving lots of detail to the marker. Planning and operational variances, looking at meaningful control. Looking at the advantages of planning, you can see that accuracy becomes more important because we are measuring it. And if we're measuring the planner's performance, they're likely to make a greater effort to make sure that they are as accurate as they can. Discipline of incorporating external facts into the budget. Highlighting some training needs. And then really my recommendation would be that in future variances are split between planning and operational variances, and this will add clarity to the responsibility of the planning team and to the sales team. So what do you need to do? You need to prepare by revising the variances. You can try and imagine some possible scenarios that Monsanto could be applying your knowledge, and then practice planning and writing up your answers. If you can plan well and then you can write up the answers quickly, you can earn very good marks. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.